Hi, I'm Nikki Jovicic from LookUpStrata, and I'm excited to be here today with Chris Irons from Strata Solve to try a different kind of approach to webinars, a micro webinar. These will be shorter than the usual, so CPD won't apply. Instead, these are short, sharp grabs of content on essential issues, great for the time poor among us, but still giving expert strata perspectives. Chris is well known from his time as Queensland's former Body Corporate Commissioner, and he's now out on his own as an independent strata consultant. Today, we're talking about harassment and bullying. Chris, over to you.
Thanks very much, Nikki. As Nikki said, these are micro webinars where time is of the essence. So let's rip straight into it. In today's webinar, bullying and harassment. We're going to try and cover the facts about these two pretty emotive terms. Just quickly to begin with, this is not legal advice, and all references to legislation in this micro webinar are Queensland based unless otherwise stated. The concepts, though, will go nationally. For those of you unfamiliar with The Simpsons, this is Kearney from The Simpsons, the well-known bully who hangs around with Nelson Muntz. And this is an impression that people often have of bullying and what happens in strata. But is that really the case? So there's no doubt that some strata situations can be incredibly upsetting. I guess the question is, though, is calling it bullying or harassment the right thing? And does it actually help anyway? Because those are things that don't have any easy or obvious solutions, and I'll explain to you what I mean by that. So under body corporate legislation, certainly in Queensland, there's no reference to either of those terms, and I don't believe there is in legislation in other states or territories either. Moreover, when we talk about bullying, that usually has application very much in a workplace context. So you've got an employer and an employee who feels they are suffering bullying. It's really important to be clear about what's actually happening. So feeling distress is one thing, but being bullied or harassment is another. And it's very important to understand what processes are going on, because it might actually be something else that you are dealing with. So how does it manifest itself, that feeling of potentially being bullied or harassed? A lot of the time, it's about bylaw application or the lack thereof. And by that, I mean a lack of consistency. Frequently, it's a verbal thing, how somebody speaks to you, whether it be in a meeting or whether it is expressed in an email. Increasingly, it might be on social media for that matter. It might be a physical feeling, and in those cases, that should probably be a police issue. One of the other ways in which harassment and bullying can be experienced is with a high volume of communication, and that's either to or from an owner, or it can involve a strata manager or an on-site manager as well. My thought bubble about bullying and harassment, number one, remember, not everything that happens in strata is for strata to solve or act upon. Sometimes it's up to another agency or another method. Some hot button issues to be aware of. As I said before, the legislative options are extremely limited for dealing with that. But it's the kind of thing where these feelings, if left unaddressed, will no doubt fester and probably get worse over time. I think inconsistency is a big issue when it comes to those feelings of harassment and bullying. If you see one party in strata being dealt with one way and then another a different way, that can strongly contribute to those feelings. And our thought bubble number two, prevention is better than cure. You might want to have a look at our other micro webinar on dispute prevention to get a better idea of what we're talking about there. So our best practice tips for dealing with feelings of harassment and bullying. Communication, as always, is key. Clarity, conciseness, openness, transparency. Not easy to do, but if you can remove emotion from the equation, you are far more likely to get to the bottom of whatever issues are contributing to those feelings of harassment and bullying. As I said before, there are very few legal options to deal with those kinds of situations in strata, so consider the alternatives, whether it be mediation, alternative dispute resolution, some forensic problem solving. There are likely to be many other options at your disposal. And as I said before, prevention always far better than cure in this situation. Preventing those feelings from arising will benefit everyone in the long run. And our final micro webinar thought bubble. Is there a reason why someone is acting a particular way? Have a think about that in relation to harassment and bullying. That might actually help a situation get a much clearer perspective. That's it for our micro webinar on harassment and bullying. If you've got any queries or questions, my contact details are up there on the screen. Nikki, back to you.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris. And if you have a question about harassment and bullying in your body corporate, you can place a comment below this video and we'll do our best to provide a response or point you in the right direction. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, everyone.